Okay, 'tis the season to move into the relationship danger zone. Oh no, we get so stressed out about buying the right presents and what parties to go to, and that all can spill over into our love lives. Relationships experts Scott and Wendy Chrostek, well, they've got tips on how your relationship can survive the holidays. So what are the most stressful things that couples go through right now, especially when it comes to those holiday traditions and maybe in-laws?
Yeah, I'd say holidays are like the most wonderful time of the year, but they're also really stressful because we have competing expectations, we have competing traditions, we have competing calendars, and we have competing really ideas for what's appropriate and what's not appropriate. And so sometimes that competition makes things really challenging and stressful. And one of the biggest things is we always have these different traditions that we value, prioritize, that we look forward to with great anticipation, but oftentimes they're conflicting because we have different sets of families, different geographic locations that we have to go to, and everybody wants a piece. So, so one of the most important things to navigate through that water is literally to prioritize and to set aside maybe the 5 most important things, the 5 most longed for expectations that you can live into, and simplify and then communicate clearly to all parties involved so that everybody can find joy in those specific things.
Okay, yeah, because we just came off of Thanksgiving, coming on to Christmas. Those are times when sometimes your parents or your in-laws, they're not trying to be ugly. They just want all the time that they can have with you.
Yeah,
but they can't be like, oh, hey, you're spending 6 hours with them and 4 with me. Like, it's the holidays, right? We should enjoy it.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. And the best way to enjoy it is just to set those expectations clearly ahead of time, and really to reduce what you long to do, so that because you can't do everything.
Right. You can't do everything. And then talking about schedules and calendars, what happens when, oh my gosh, I missed something?
Yes, well, it's inevitable. Somewhere along the lines, you're going to say, oh, we have this holiday party. I promise I emailed you or texted you or told you that it was going to happen. And you kind of have a couple of options. You can find yourself really frustrated about the fact that you didn't learn about it, or you can say, it's not worth the fretting over it and to try and make a way to make it happen. I say it's important to be connected instead of being correct. So instead of trying to decide about whether or not I told you or I didn't tell you and causing a fight, saying
which
what
never
can
happens.
Which never happens.
No, I'm like sitting here going through this all the time. I'm like, happening now. So.
Yeah, it's better to be connected than to be correct. And so what that means is, like, if there's a calendar conflict, then you adapt. You move toward each other, because that's the most important thing, instead of trying to figure out who was right or who was wrong.
Yeah.
And that's the fight we get into. Yeah.
Yeah, that can be. What are some other ways around the holidays that you can show your partner, hey, I'm there for you?
Yeah. Well, if you have a really rough day, so for instance, a friend of mine was telling me that she and her husband were in the midst of a really challenging morning, and he had an early meeting. He said, I gotta leave, I have to be at work by 8 o'clock, and he left. And then he got about halfway down the road, he turned the car around and came back, and so 4 minutes later she said, what are you doing back home? And he said, if you really need me to be here, I'll be here. And she started crying, and she said, I don't need you to be here, but the fact that you would turn your car around and show up means that you really care for me. So when things are really hard and really stressful, if that means turning the car around and saying you're more important than whatever it was that I had to do, or if it means picking up the phone and saying I will be there right now if you need for me to be, that's the most important thing, and to be able to show by your presence that the other person really matters.
Oh, absolutely. Now, we want to touch on something else. They say laughter is the best medicine. So how do we really take time to do that? Maybe with our partner, or maybe just even in the workplace, wherever.
Yeah, well, this is like the most appropriate time to be like funny and outlandish during the holiday season. I mean, you have the sweaters, you have the hats, you have the costumes, you have elf parties, I mean, all these different kinds of things. And so take advantage of that every time you can to go out and experience the laughter of the season. Whether that means ice skating with the Mavericks or going to Crown Center and just taking to the skates, that's one thing you can do. Or maybe you can look at just buying Santa hats and putting those on at the dinner table, putting on holiday music that everybody knows the words to and singing at the top of your lungs, just doing whatever you can to make this bright, fun, full of laughter and joy. And don't let those moments pass, because this is the time of year that you can live into them fully.
Oh, Scott and Wendy, that was such great advice. They also told me when they went out to Crown Center, they were ice skating. They did a lot better than I did. So thank you guys so much for stopping by.
Thank you.